everyone, my name is Black Witch Dirah. I am a Luciferian witch of the left-hand path as well as an occult educator. And I am back for day 4 of my Halloween mini series. But before we get into today's topic, some announcements. So Hexing 101, what's the date today? It is the 28th, meaning we have 4 days left for you to sign up for that course that I did in collaboration with the Order of Chaos. So time is moving fast, so sign up to that while you still can. And the Dark Arts Academy is open for the rest of October, and we have our group ritual coming up on Samhain, the 31st, and we would love to have you there. Also have some other things coming up, but they're not exactly in concrete form just yet, so hopefully I will be mentioning this stuff in the coming videos. So today's topic I thought I would discuss is the difference between Luciferianism and Satanism, and the reason for this is because, for obvious reasons, they kind of overlap in people's minds. That is because Lucifer and Satan are considered as kind of synonymous, and therefore the belief systems that come from there are also kind of considered the same thing. So for example, when somebody has asked me if I'm a Satanist and I say no, I'm a Luciferian, and they're like, is that not the same thing? And then I have to kind of explain the difference. So let's start with Satanism. I'd say the most accessible and well-known kind of branch of Satanism is LaVeyan Satanism, founded by Anton Sandor LaVey, and this was an organisation that came about in the 1960s and is basically based upon kind of being in total opposition of any Christian and Abrahamic belief systems and principles. So this branch of Satanism favours the carnal desires of man and basically describes how the 7 deadly sins are just normal human tendencies and nothing to feel shame about, nothing that's going to send you to hell. It denies any kind of supernatural existence or an existence of a higher power. So in that sense it's atheistic. However, that doesn't mean that magic is not involved in it. It does list rituals, invocations, incantations, things like that. So there is kind of magic involved, but it's more based on the belief that the magic comes from the magician themselves and it's purely just a direction of will, and there's no kind of supernatural influence involved in it. I wouldn't describe LaVeyan Satanism as a spiritual path at all. In fact, it denies of anything spiritual. It's more of just an ideology. They don't recognise Satan as a god. Satan is a symbol of the adversary. Satan is a symbol of rebellion, which is kind of like a common theme amongst all like Satanism / Luciferian branches, I suppose. That's probably the only sort of, not the only commonality, but one of the main ones. But this branch of Satanism is not spiritual, it's purely carnal. But there is also such a thing as Theistic Satanism. So Theistic Satanism obviously honours Satan as a god, as a real legitimate deity, a real legitimate higher power, and it is a spiritual path. So it's a spiritual path that is focused on honouring Satan through various acts of devotion, probably not as dark and sinister as the average person might think. The whole idea behind Theistic Satanism is actually honouring Satan as a god, walking in alignment with Satan, aligning your will with Satan. And now on to Luciferianism. So this is the one I can obviously speak the most on, seeing as I am a Luciferian witch. So first of all, are Satan and Lucifer the same? No, they are not. They are like different beings, so they have an entirely different energy that they embody. And I think through the influence of Christianity, that's something that's made it so that they are considered the same thing, but they're not. So while Satan is considered the adversary and the deceiver, Lucifer is considered as the light bringer of wisdom. Hence Lucifer morning star, so the correspondence with Venus. And Luciferianism is a spiritual path. It focuses on balancing the spiritual with the carnal. If you look at the satanic tenets in the Satanic Bible and the 11 principles of Luciferianism, you'll see some differences there, as well as maybe a few common themes, but it's mostly differences because Satanism, the tenets in the Satanic Bible are very much based on you know, the material world and real life, and then the Luciferian principles are based on one's spiritual growth and reaching apotheosis. So Luciferianism is theistic. We see Lucifer as the higher power, as the I don't really want to describe it as like supreme being, but basically seeing Lucifer as the top dog, right? The one that rules over the demons. And Luciferianism obviously ties in quite well with practicing demonolatry as well, because it's said that Lucifer can be the one to, you know, during an evocation, to bring forth a demon to you. And many demonolators will acknowledge Lucifer in their demonolatry practice. But the idea is that Lucifer is a god that we seek wisdom, guidance, knowledge from, and the whole kind of purpose of life is to kind of just keep evolving and keep growing on a spiritual level, attaining more knowledge and wisdom, finding out about yourself, becoming your authentic self. And there's also some self-deification involved, so stepping into your god power and stepping into that internal power that you hold within you that perhaps has been repressed throughout your life. And alike to theistic Satanism, you may also perform some dark devotions in favour of Lucifer. Again, not as dark and sinister as it may seem to outsiders who are ignorant to what this is really about. So I guess I kind of want to finish on why did I choose Luciferianism over atheistic Satanism and theistic Satanism. Well, first of all, like, atheistic Satanism wouldn't have worked out for me because I've always been a firm believer in the spiritual. Before I even began practicing, I had spiritual experiences, I had paranormal experiences. It's something I 100% believed in. So the idea of there being nothing in supernatural existence just didn't make sense to me. It wasn't something I resonated with. But that doesn't mean I don't get anything out of atheistic Satanism. It doesn't mean that some of what's written in the literature doesn't align with my beliefs. It's just not something that I live by all the time or adopt. And there are things that I don't agree with in that kind of literature. So I think the Satanic Bible is a must read for literally anyone, like whether you're on the left-hand path or not, because it really just helps break down some Abrahamic conditioning within you. And I think a lot of people hold shame and expectations of themselves, and they may not know where it initially came from, but it has come from that Abrahamic conditioning, like even if they're not Christian, right? So I think it's a must read for everyone, I really do. And the book definitely had a profound change on me. But the Satanic Scriptures, however, written by Peter H. Gilmore, I remember reading that and kind of thinking, what a crock of shit. I don't like that book at all. I haven't picked it up in about 4 or 5 years, so I can't exactly pick out certain extracts from it that I disagree with, like off the top of my head. But I remember reading it and it felt like the whole entire thing was just moaning about Christianity, and I was like, well, is this all that atheistic Satanism has to offer? Like resentment towards the church? Because that's certainly not my life's purpose or something that I want to hold forever. And I don't want that to be the centre of my ideology. But then I suppose, why did I choose Luciferianism over theistic Satanism? I suppose I came across Luciferianism first, if I'm honest. That's what I came across first, and it just aligned with everything I was kind of looking for and that I didn't even know that I was looking for. it felt right, it resonated. I'm yet to find anything on this path or in a lot of things that, you know, in the initial reading that I did, that doesn't resonate with me. It all seems to just feel, it kind of, this sounds really kind of like cringe and sickly, but Luciferianism kind of feels like home for me. And so yeah, that's what I ran with. And I'd say, you know, I've identified as a Luciferian for the past 5 years, and since then it's definitely been a journey of awakening, a journey of intensity. I mean, as I described in my last video, pros and cons of the left-hand path, you know, a lot of that was as a result of being on this journey through Luciferianism. And I suppose I'll finish on this. A lot of people ask, so you're a devil worshipper? And sometimes I say yes, just to get a laugh out of it, just so, because like, I feel like sometimes it's funny to just run with people's misconceptions and just be like, yeah, you know, I sacrifice whatever, insert sadistic thing there that I don't want to say on YouTube. But yeah, just to run with it, because, you know, it's kind of funny, and obviously people know that I'm not being serious because they know that I wouldn't do that. But yeah, I mean, you know, people will say, you know, are you a devil worshipper? But on a serious note, Lucifer does not require worship. That's not something he asks of you. This is, for me, a path of self-worship, which is a lot harder than it sounds. As humans, we tend to be stuck in patterns that are really unhealthy and really difficult to break out of, and is the opposite of self-worship. So it's not an easy thing to do. I feel like just worshipping a god is so much easier, to be honest. But yeah, you know, for me it's a thing of, it's a religion of the self, it's self-worship. And through having that respect for yourself and for your body, mind and spirit, I think that that is what is pleasing to Lucifer and what makes you worthy of his guidance and of his knowledge and of his care. So yeah, I think that's about all I have to say on this topic. I hope this video was informative and I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you tomorrow for the next video of the mini series. Goodbye for now.